Hi and welcome back to the Superpower Mentor podcast. I am Mance and I'm here with Luigi today. Hello, Luigi.
Hello, Mads. Nice. Thank you for having me here.
My pleasure.
Glad to be here.
So tell us, who are you? What do you do?
I'm Luigi. I'm a 21-year-old aspiring physical education teacher. I just graduated in May, and I look forward to teach physical education, preferably to elementary age kids.
Congratulations for finishing.
Thank you. Unfortunately, through a couple interviews, I did not get any full-time job yet, but I'm still working in my local school system to just get a foot in the door, meet new kids, meet new faculty, and see what I can do.
Climbing the ladder, as they say, right?
Yeah.
It starts somewhere.
Would you like to know a little bit more?
Yeah,
what
about your diagnosis, etc.?
Okay, so as a kid, long time ago, I was diagnosed with ADHD and I believe Asperger's on the spectrum of autism, which made, how do I say this, school really hard and social interactions really hard for me. So school, I didn't like it, just who I was, didn't like to go to school, didn't want to go to school. I loved to learn, but the school itself just wasn't for me.
What would you rather have done instead in your case?
I don't know, because I loved learning. I was a smart kid, always trying to do something new, learn something new, but going to school and sitting on a desk just wasn't how I worked, and it came with some behavior issues. I struggled with some of that. Yeah.
In what case then? What would be considered behavioral issues in your case?
It would be being told what to do, for example. If I'm not paying attention, I would just kind of react and my fight or flight would kick in. I would either run away or fight the situation. Fighting didn't really come until later on when I was actually able to
fight back. Yeah.
Combat. Yeah. So it was I would just shut down. I would just shut down completely, and that hindered my learning. But luckily I had a great mom, supportive mom, who's helped me through since I was 5 years old till the end of high school, who's helped me get support that I needed and really made school not a necessarily better experience, but a lot more tolerable for me.
Hooray for moms, right? Like we need that support from parents to survive this very harsh environment. But you're touching on something that I know a lot of people can relate to. I relate to what you said as well. So, but which goes very well into the conversation that we're going to have today, which is back to school. Because of course, now the majority of the world is going back to school. So in your case, did you find it, you said like you don't want to be in school. So did you try to get away from school after summer, for example? Or what's your experience here?
Yes, I actually had not the best attendance in school. Like the mornings getting ready for school were my fight or flight was already kicking in. I just didn't want to get ready for school. I didn't want to go. I even had that certain times in high school when I was getting ready on my own. And sometimes I would just not want to go. I would be late, sometimes on purpose. And it was hard for me. As you settle into the school year, of course, it gets easier. But those first couple weeks, maybe even first couple months, was just, I didn't want to go. It was a place I did not look forward to. So after coming from summer,
What did your mom or you, like obviously you said like, okay, the first couple of months it was hard, but then it got easier. But what did your mom / you do to kind of make you go then?
Make me go? Well, there were some like disciplinary actions, of course, where if I didn't go, something would get taken away from me.
Okay.
And then if I'm not at school and I'm at home and I don't have my favorite toy or video game, then there would be no point of even staying home and just go to school. So sometimes early mornings, I would say I'm not going. And she would be like, okay, well, I'm taking your video games. And then maybe after a half hour of realizing I have nothing to do, I would just go to school, show up late, and that was a pretty common occurrence.
And it worked. Obviously, you probably hated it at that moment, but looking back, are you grateful for that?
Absolutely. I'm not sure how it works in Norway, but not going to school is truancy. It's a crime here. And
what do you mean by like it's a crime?
You need to go to school.
Yeah.
Basically. So it's probably once my mom saw me not wanting to go to school, that probably made her think, wow, I can get in trouble as a parent for not letting my son go to school.
So are you saying like she could get thrown in jail for you not going to school?
There would be multiple steps to it. Maybe not thrown in jail necessarily, but I don't know how the crime works exactly.
It's a spectrum here, of course.
Yeah, so she would probably lose custody of me after a certain amount of time.
After a certain
we
amount
never
of
got
time.
to that extent.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It never got to that far. But
It's here the same here too in terms of like, okay, that's like a warning style, like why doesn't your kid go to school? Do we need to check on like everything is okay, etc. So it's the same thing here. So, but I do think, was it situations where the taking away the video games like it wasn't helping because you were in a different state of mind, so you even wanted to stay away from school regardless?
There were definitely some days, I would say. It's been a while. This was predominantly early elementary school. Memory don't remember it too well, but I would say there were definitely a handful of days where even if she took it, I would just not want to go, especially if I had a bad day before. So if I had a horrible Monday, horrible Monday where I was just never want to go to school again, and Tuesday came around, it would be hard to really send me there because I didn't want to go. I had a horrible Monday. Why would I want to go again?
Yeah. Then what would you, looking back, like what would you wish the school or teachers to have done to have helped that transition? Because there is a transition from having a break for such a long time to then going back to this rigid environment.
What for them to do specifically? There's a lot. It's a lot to do as a school system, 100%. As a teacher, as a principal. There's so many students. I know private school, it's a great workaround, but that may be unrealistic for a lot of people. Private schools allow more staff to student ratio to get more support, and they have specific curriculum. That really helps, but I wasn't able to get into private school. So honestly, I really don't know. I'm leave it there. I don't know what they could have done differently or what someone could have done differently.
But
I might have some ideas, but
feel free to share. That's what we're here. Like what?
Yeah.
As a mentor, even you can say it like that.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to your mentee to encourage them to seek help there or wanting to go?
I actually have one thing to say before that. What I wish the school system can do is maybe, I don't know how realistic this is, but start off like the first week of school with a couple half days. So it's not a full day of school. You're only there for 4 hours, and maybe do that for the first 3 days, and the last 2 days are full days of school. So you kind of get to ease into it, ease into waking up a little earlier, ease into maybe being a place you don't want to be. But it's not the full day. You're there for a couple half days. Lets you get into a little bit of the schedule. Yeah.
You know,
granted, I don't know how realistic that is.
No, I think it would be very realistic. And I think it also, in a combination of, because the teacher and the students should all have meetings with each other within the first couple of weeks, either way, right? So, those who are very eager to be there, they can schedule the teacher meeting like on the first day. And those who need a little bit more time, they can schedule it later to compensate for like, okay, we don't have classes, but we have meetings. But regardless of that, I think that is a great suggestion because it's the easing in. And many kids and even teens, adults even, need that easing in.
Yeah, it's easing into like anything. School is just an example here, but it goes for a lot of things. Sports, even if you play an instrument you haven't played in a while, you probably want to ease into it before you start doing 8-hour lessons. But yeah.
But as a mentor in your kid situation, how would you encourage the mentee to going back to school? Because as you just said, like not everyone want to do that.
Yeah, so we may dislike school for a lot of different reasons. Some may not have a problem going to school. Unlike me, I had a problem just getting there in the first place. Some of my mentees and some other mentees might be able to just show up and that's not an issue, but once they get there, it's a difficult time.
Yeah.
And there might be a lot of issues to why we dislike it. Some might be academic, some might be social. Interacting with new people might be frightening, might be terrifying. A new teacher might be the scariest thing for someone.
Oh, yes.
Or if you switch classrooms and this classroom is a lot larger, a lot more students, it's harder to get the teacher's attention because there's 30 students compared to last year where you had 18.
Yeah.
There's just so many reasons, and giving one piece of advice is
overwhelming
because
almost.
It may not, it may not apply to you.
But you are saying in that case, like you really need to acknowledge what is the terrifying thing for you, and then really taking the responsibility, even though, you are maybe not that old, but like, okay, at least speak to someone, express to someone, like, I found this really difficult.
Exactly.
And then asking for help in some sort of way, even as a mentor, like that's what we often experience, and that's what we are doing with the mentees, allowing them to just express, and then we can talk about it with them, and then we can also influence parents, school, etc., depending on what issue it is, of course. But just to kind of ease them into this, talk them into it. And I think, as you say, it could be such a complexity with all these diagnoses also, because like, okay, sure, ADHD has its one set of problems, and dyslexia has another, autistic spectrum has the third, like, and some of us have all of them or a combination of them, right?
Yeah.
And there might be even more of them in the class. Like, what should we do? But it really goes down to, okay, how can I express my needs and wants? And what I wish, what you said really well earlier as well, like the easing in. How does the parent or the teacher meet us? Even the parent as well, like your mom sounds to like really meet you, like, okay, sure, but no games for you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you had a fight with your mom as well. But she understood, like, of course it's more fun to be home playing games.
Yeah.
So you
Definitely.
made a choice in the end, right? You went to school eventually.
Yeah.
Which I think is really key here.
It's even at a young age, like the intrinsic value of stuff. School's good. You have to go to school. You should learn. So a lot of it was intrinsic for me. And as I got older, my intrinsic value went up once I knew what school is and what you can do with going to school and how truly important it is. So as I got older, I realized that this is pretty cliche, but you kind of just have to like strap up your helmet, your boots, and it's going to be hard, but you have to do it. That is towards like my high school.
Of course.
High school, of course, but as in elementary school, I think it was also a little bit of the intrinsic value and seeing like my mom needing to go to work and me giving her a hard time, not letting her go to work.
So you actually considered like, okay, yeah, I can't do this because my mom is not home, and then I'm making out trouble for her. That is very grown up of you as well, and I think that's encouraging the kids to like think for themselves, because obviously, and I really relate to that, like being more aware than people thought I would be as a kid. But I lost my train of thought. But it's you taking responsibility. But my motivation. What about motivation? Like, okay, yeah, you don't want to make trouble for your mom, but like, what you say you love learning, I relate to that, and I'm sure you agree with me. Like, you don't always learn in school the way you need to. So, what kept you going in terms of like, what was your motivation here?
I think this goes back to like teachers. Then this is where teachers come in. They promote these behaviors. So if a student does a good job, whether it be small or large, they're the like catalyst. I'm not sure if that's the right word to like get that small spark and really launch them.
100%.
So you do one small thing that, you know, maybe you don't feel too good about, like it's just something you get a grade, or if you show up on time, or just the smallest thing, and just a compliment or support from a teacher, your teacher, makes you want to do it again and keep doing it and keep showing up. And I think that could be like a make or break. It's the support you get in school. So I'm able to sit down at my desk and finish a worksheet, for example, and I get a huge compliment from my teachers saying I did a great job. And sometimes you get rewarded with, okay, you can go for a walk or go do this. And right there, I felt good. Wow, I did a great job just from sitting down at my desk. And I get rewarded for like a small piece of movement. I get to walk or play in the corner or whatever. And for example, if the teacher didn't say anything and just went on her day after I did something like that, which may or may not be a huge accomplishment for us, and didn't let me get some support, as in she knows I like to move my body, can't sit still, and she doesn't let me, or he could be a he or she, the teacher, and doesn't let me go for a walk or something, that makes me not want to do it again. Then I don't want to sit down at my desk and do the worksheet. It's
So it goes back to acknowledgement, seeing you for you.
Yes, acknowledgement. Yes.
Which
acknowledgement is huge.
It's huge. And of course, giving the teachers some credits here too. If you have a lot of kids, that is of course difficult. But
exactly, back to that point.
Yeah. But maybe, and often is the case, these individuals with these type of challenges, they may need it a little bit more, the encouragement to like, yeah, you did good today, Luigi. I see you.
Yeah.
That can make your whole day.
Exactly. It's the smallest difference. Yeah. I don't, the human brain is crazy how something as small as like a simple compliment just goes the longest way.
I look at my own story, right? Like I was told so many times, like I got back a test and there was written underneath that like, well, we need janitors as well. That was the, like, no like score, nothing like you can be a janitor because you were so bad. Not any disc. I have nothing against janitors, but clearly the teacher had something against it, you know? It's like always brought me down saying like, you're stupid. You can't do this. You can't achieve your dreams because you can't read well enough at this moment in time. It's like, what is the motivation here? What is the drive? There is no drive. I'd rather not be there.
Exactly. No, you don't want to go the next day. Why? There's no point. Yeah, so exactly.
Go on.
What I was going to say is, with that, I think as the years go on, we get more progressive in a school system where we start to understand different differences. That's pretty redundant, but how people are different. We learn at different paces, and I'm not too sure what year you were in during that school year when that happened to you. But I'm a little younger than you, and even that might have been 2008 when I was in elementary school, may have been a lot more progressive than people who were in elementary school in 1998. And now even today, we are super progressive as a school system, and teachers really know and are trained to understand learning differences.
So that's an interesting thing, because I think it really depends though on which school and which teachers you get, because it's kind of like bingo, isn't it?
It's true. Yeah, it could be random. You can hit the jackpot and get the best teacher of all time, or some teachers.
But I do agree with you that it's way better now than. So I studied school in 1999, so just a year after you said, and I was one of the first kids that got like support tools for dyslexia.
Yeah.
And I had to fight. I had to really fight. Like, I have the rights to use this tool or get these accommodations, etc. Because no one understood it, and obviously in my case, I quickly realized that, okay, in order for me to learn, I had to find my own way. And every time I do it in a way that works for me, I get told off. So I must be doing something correct then. So that was my mentality of like, okay, they're telling me off. I know it works. I need to keep going. But 100%, it's better now than ever. And hopefully it will be better. But it's also hugely depending on the country you live in. And because if you go through many parts of Europe, there isn't a lot, unfortunately.
That's horrible to hear. Yeah. What I have to say about that is, that's unfortunate. I really like. I know in United States you have an IEP and the 504 plan, which are basically written in law, like you said, that you need certain things. And sometimes, depending on the school system, even if it's written on a piece of paper, they don't want or just won't give you the support you need until you say something about it.
Exactly.
Until you advocate for yourself. And usually at a younger age, you need parents to get involved. And sometimes parents don't get involved.
Yeah.
They don't want to fight. They're either too busy or whatever the reason may be. And then now it's a lose-lose for everyone, and it really stinks.
Just bingo there too. You do have supporting parents. Yeah. Do you have a sibling that has been through something similar? And all of those things as well pays a price, so to say. But overall, 100%, it's so much better than it used to be. But it always helps to accommodate for yourself regarding of situation, because as you just said, sometimes nothing happens unless you really fight for it. And
exactly,
some teachers need just a little bit of push to, okay, I need to think about how to do this differently, and then that's it. But I wanna change it a little bit, and I wanna ask you about, if, like, I know in America they have this, like, it's almost this movement, like you can buy stuff. It's back to school. It's really cool. All of these things. I don't know about you, but when I see that, I'm like, I don't want to go to school now, because it's kind of commercialized to be like this.
Yeah.
I don't know, glorified thing. I'm like, what do you think as an American with about that?
That's just it's just companies, it's just capitalism.
100%.
They just want to push their product out, but that's besides the fact of what we're talking about. But sometimes those commercials, I understand what you're saying, like, oh no, I don't want to go to school, because it's just in your face, right? Yeah. It's reminding you every single day on television. You wake up 2 weeks before school even starts, watch cartoons in the morning, and it's back to school, and now you don't even watch TV anymore. You're just doing your TV experience. And yeah, it stinks, but going back to school shopping was fun. I think it was great seeing, like, they have a SpongeBob backpack or a Ninja Turtles pencil case. Like, that was fun, I guess.
That is fun. I agree.
Yeah, it's getting something you want.
Yeah. It's personalized, isn't it? Like making it more personalized.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I haven't heard about that.
It was. And then eventually you create like a bond of a backpack.
Yeah.
This is like really nitty gritty, but you have your favorite backpack or your favorite pencil case or your favorite Spider-Man pencil or.
But it makes such a difference
Yeah.
though, because it's like,
Yeah, it really does.
I'm starting with my new Ninja Turtle backpack, and that is kind of like showing it off could be what's needed to go through the first couple of weeks, right?
Exactly. Like I said, we're all different. Some people just might need their favorite backpack to make it through the day. We spoke about this earlier, but some people, some kids, that may not affect them at all. Maybe what they wear or what they bring has nothing to do with their experience in school. Yeah, it's different for everyone.
I think
So
in
that's
my
not necessarily
case, like I was never the kid that did not want to go to school in like in the way that I'm like, I don't want to go to school today. But it affected my immune system so much that I got so sick so often that even my friends gambled if I were going to school or not. But it's not like I didn't want to go to school, but I got so sick because it was so much stress and I was so tired. So in my case, even though I wanted to, I was physically incapable of doing it. And that's like an area that is often, at least here in Norway, I hear often people talking about like, I want to go, but like it's not accommodated for me, or like they don't see that, well, there's actually a physical reason that I can't go. But then you get kind of like the middle finger because like, yeah, but you didn't show up. And I think, to be honest, it's one good thing about the whole lockdown thing is that online capability of recording stuff has become better.
Absolutely. I'm going to touch on what you said with the like middle finger. Yeah, a lot of you learn it the hard way, but a lot of people just don't care. Like if you don't, even with a good reason, it just comes down to, well, you didn't do it, so it doesn't matter. And that stinks. But your second point, which was my train of thought. What was your second point? Can you remind me?
My second point was the COVID thing about.
COVID. Yes, yes. The COVID. It's so. Besides what it did, I think in hindsight, looking back at it, specifically about online learning at all levels, well, I would argue that it's not suitable for elementary aged
Agree.
students, but especially middle school, high school, and college, it's allowed people to learn from a different environment. For example, right now, I graduated my undergrad, my 4-year undergrad, and I'm looking to do a master's program. Right now, I cannot imagine myself stepping into a classroom and meeting a new professor and sitting in a desk. I don't think I can do that anymore. I just don't think, like, it was always hard for me. Getting there, sitting behind a desk, paying attention. Now, you lack that freedom. And now when I'm thinking about going for my master's, I'm looking back now of all the things that were hard for me. And it's now I have the option to do it at home, do it at a library I want to go to.
You can move around at the same time.
Yeah, I can move around at the same time without disturbing the class. I could go on a walk and have class on my phone. I could go sit on the couch. It's just so many things you can do now with this online stuff, especially at the college level.
I think, I hope, and I think we see more usage of that going forward. Like, do you want to sign up physically or do you want to sign up digitally? Because, as you just said, it could really encourage so many people to actually do it. And I often even say to my mentees, right, like, hey, if you need to play or draw or knit or run or walk at the same time as we talk, as long as you can pay attention, go for it. Because I know that there are so many different ways of paying attention, right? And that online learning, that the barrier for allowing to do that is so much better. So would you say the future really lies in the flexibility of online learning, and then would make more people go into school in general?
Yes, maybe or maybe not specifically online learning, but we mentioned before we've gotten more progressive in the school system, able to understand different learning differences, and online learning just expands that knowledge of what we can do with so many different types of learners. So online learning is great. There might be something else we've never even thought about doing that might come around. You know, you don't know what you don't know. So maybe in 25 years, there's who knows what's going to be around for to help students learn.
True.
But I do agree, online learning does help. I would argue that at a certain age, you have to be a certain age.
I agree. There's still accountability in a different way.
Yeah. Like 6-year-old elementary kid students, online learning must have been very difficult to work with.
Yeah. And it's the comprehension of like, why should I sit and watch a computer when I'm not gaming, for example? It's like, yeah. No, I agree. But that kind of course, you have the whole social aspect, like, okay, but the value of physically communicating with someone and discuss the subjects is unmatched in many ways. But that might not be that everyone needs to do that, as we have touched upon many times. And I think I wish that there would be some sort of maybe an assignment, a test, or something that kind of, okay, what category, what do you need? I think you should be in this type of learning environment for this many hours a week, or whatever it is, like, to facilitate your specific learning. And I don't think it's impossible. It just requires a different way of thinking. And to be honest, I think it can massively benefit teachers too, because the teachers today, they are overworked and really stressed.
Yes. Like you said, there are different ways. Some students need face-to-face. They think online learning just doesn't work. I've met people who said online school throughout COVID was the worst thing that's ever happened to them. I thought it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. So there are different ways. If we're like in a public school setting, middle school and high school, you could create online learning rooms where each room is being recorded, like the lessons being recorded, and you go to a different room where you're not with 25 other kids. You might be one-on-one, or there might be one teacher, 10 students, and you get to watch the lesson through a screen. And if you have a question, you're with the one teacher in that room, and you're not in a full-on classroom. That might be a small thing.
Even like what you just said there, the ability, if you have a video, to stop it and go back. I love that, because sometimes you can't always get everything in one go, right?
Or even ask the teacher to slow down. Because they're on pace with 75% of the class are on pace, and the other 25% are falling behind. And it's, what do you pick? Do you help the 25%, and now 75% are not learning as much as they can? So it's tricky. It's super tricky. I think this whole thing, it's one of the trickiest things we've had to ever deal with as a society.
But you could say now, like, does it change when we start working? What is your opinion on that?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, the correlation between, like, okay, I don't want to go to school because I don't want to go to work. Of course, again, it depends. But it's a carryover.
Do you say work?
Work, yeah.
As a job? As a job?
Yeah.
That's the thing about me. I've always loved to work.
Same.
I like working. It's probably has something to do with a paycheck. That's how I think. I think of,
but that's motivation, though, isn't
input and output. Yeah, the input versus output. But also, a lot of jobs are they're more lively. I don't know. I'm a camp counselor. It's yeah, I'm working, but I get to interact with kids all day. We get to have fun. They make me laugh. I make them laugh. It's a lively job.
That's the key,
And
though.
versus,
And I
yeah,
think so many people fail because they choose a job that has no other value than they get money. You
yeah,
get value on so many levels, right? So you look forward to working. I
yeah.
am the same, by the way.
It's yeah, it's I know you're very artsy and like graphic design, so you get value from that. I like to teach physical education, especially to elementary age students, and seeing them grow and
Yes.
making them laugh and making them have fun is the value. It's lively. I'm on my feet. I'm moving, so I'm getting my body's moving. We all know how important exercise is. Blood flow is super important, especially early in the morning. And just being able to make a difference like that and really interact with students, interact with teachers, it's a lively job. Yes, it's a job. Yes, there's work to it. Yes, there's a paycheck, but it's really just the value and how lively it is.
I
It really
always
makes a
say to
difference.
people, if money was nothing, what would you have done regardless? And for some people, that's a difficult thing to answer. But I
Yeah,
think
that is tricky.
you are doing it, aren't you?
I would say that. I also I'm a sucker for video games. So if money wasn't involved, and it would be a close call, but I love video games so much. I don't know, something about it. I don't play it as much as I once did, but I was able to just go into my own world.
But it's kind of the
12
same though,
hours,
isn't
yeah.
it? You're building a character and you're building
Mm-hmm.
another person and see them grow. It's the same
Yeah.
satisfaction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I guess.
At
I
least it
guess
is for
it
me.
really just, yeah. I know maybe when you complete a project, it's probably the best feeling ever.
100%.
And you get to like, yeah.
See,
I'm not sure how your brain works with that, but I
one
think
of
it's all
my
very
things
similar.
is like I love, as you said, I do art, I do illustration, animations, but I also work with people because I do a lot of public speaking, obviously do mentoring. I coach everyone with these challenges, and seeing people grow and kind of have this, okay, I just need to do a little bit different, such a boost. But like, if I'm going to be like my hobby thing, like I've done this since I was 5. I create fake Pokemon and I remake them, my old fake Pokemon, and redraw them, and like I finish them up. Like, it's my video game. I do play video games as well. Obviously, I play Pokemon, but like finishing
Yeah.
that little art piece for me is like there's
Yeah.
nothing else that can
So,
come close to it.
yeah. Yeah. So is it fan made stuff? Like
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
create your own?
Yeah, it's my own.
Oh, that's really cool.
Thank you, thank you.
That's really cool.
It's for me, but it's also like this acknowledging my younger self and what he created and then recreating it into today and putting it out there. But the cool thing is that it's also my job. It's my hobby and my job.
Yeah.
But I also make loads of art about special education, like how does it feel to have dyslexia or ADHD, right? It's really fun. We need to talk to people, need to understand them. But it can also be, of course, a lot. So that's like when I can draw a Pokemon and step back. I love it. But overall, I love my job. Because, as I just said, I would have done this regardless. Because it brings me happiness. And I'm a freelancer, so I'm very flexible with my own time. And I think having that space to be able to be master of my own time also allows me to reflect on things that I see other people in a full-time job doesn't have the time and energy to do.
Yeah.
And then going back to school, the school system doesn't really allow you to digest what you have been taught and how to deal with all these inputs from teachers and students and parents and expectations. You get overwhelmed, right? In my case, then,
Yeah.
I broke. I got so sick because I didn't have the opportunity to reflect. So I wish there would be, what you started with, having break times. Do we need to go to school or even work as many days as we do?
I know that's a huge topic right now. 4-day work weeks. I've seen it. There are like some countries are trying it out, and I'm a big fan. I think it's great. Also, 5-day work weeks. Also, don't mind them. It's that's a huge thing.
It is, right? But it's connected.
Yeah. It's that's hard to think about of like what we need. Like, I think you really need to what do you call it? Experiment with it. Like trial runs, maybe for
100%.
like, I don't know, specific counties, specific towns, before you really maybe start with a small town, 10,000 people, before, you know, you give New York City a 4-day work week and see how that works. You know what I mean?
Of course, it depends on location, and like if you want to work 7 days a week because you love it, sure,
Yeah.
you know. But the time to process is something that we don't do, and because we don't value that, we don't either allow to. We're not allowed to ask, like, okay, why do you not want to go to school here? What is the emotions that you are holding back or keeping you from going? What happened? We don't usually ask about those things because the expectation is the gear is going. You just need to be there and do that and shut up and do your thing. We're not robots.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a big thing. I know I was given a lot of breaks. That was part of my IEP plan.
Good.
And I know a lot of students have that. That's what they need. I believe that's what everyone should get that.
100%.
Some just struggle with it more, so they need those breaks. They need those 5-minute walks every hour. And that's what I believe physical education was for me. It was that 30 minutes in a day where I can let loose, especially as a young child, elementary school, middle school, let loose, run, move your body. The effects of exercise on your mental and physical health it's not spoken about more enough,
100%.
which I think it's horrible. Granted, I'm not in the best shape. Could be better. I like food too much. Food tastes too good to
Isn't that
be
the
in that good of
motivation
shape.
to get in shape so you can eat more food?
It's just desserts. It's just like certain ice creams. Last night I got a crumble cookie. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
I ate the whole cookie. It was really good. Food tastes good. But anyways, back to the exercise point. Exercise, it's not talked about enough.
I think it's less and less, actually.
Yeah. And it's vital. I don't have any sources to cite. You can do your own research. We all know it. But we don't do enough because it's not talked about. It's not a norm almost. For some people it is, for some families. But some people just don't take it seriously or into consideration. And as a physical education teacher, that's something I want to teach students. I don't want to be a strength and conditioning coach. That's not what I'm here for. But to let students know, like, yeah, you can move your body and have fun. You can exercise, get these benefits.
What do you recommend?
You can meet
then?
new people.
Like, if I was your mentee or a student, like, if you're gonna give me a few tips, like, how would I start? What will you tell me?
First, start off like to get into exercise or moving your body.
Oh, yeah.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay. For a lot of people, that's something they say, you know, we're busy people, right? And exercise might be something they got to set a time for. But sometimes you can multitask with it. You want to go hang out with a friend? Go hang out and walk. A simple walk goes a long way. Maybe there's a specific sport you like to play, and that's like the only one. You only like volleyball, for example. You could play with friends, a local park, something like that. Bike riding. If you want to go to the store, maybe ride your bike. I know in Europe, it's a lot easier to ride a bike and walk places. The infrastructure is just meant for that. But there are certain parts here in America where it's viable. I know in New York City, they walk a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But it's really just starting small. It's small. You don't need to go to the gym every day for 2 hours. You don't need to lift weights. It's very overwhelming for people because they think it's, wow, okay, I need to push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, this, and that. And it's really not that deep. You start small, you make it a habit to where now you don't drive to the coffee shop in the morning, you walk. You do that every day, and now you're going to feel better over time. And then that might make you want to do something else. And yeah, it's really, that's my advice would be, if you are not currently playing sports, it's something you don't do, it's not integrated into your life, which is completely okay. Just certain adjustments you can make. Take your dog out for a walk. Just really get the body moving.
Moving in any way is beneficial, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I always have told people, especially with ADHD, like, if you have ADHD, you especially, like, of course everyone, but like,
yeah,
you need to be moving.
Exactly.
It's so important.
And that goes back to the breaks we take in school. I took a lot of breaks, a lot of walks.
Did you, what age were you when you got your diagnosis?
Very young. I don't remember, 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay. So even before you started school.
Yeah.
That is rare these days. But so your comprehension of your diagnosis sounds like you were kind of raised into understanding how your diagnosis worked then. Or
yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't really
I was given,
a negative thing.
No, not necessarily. I think the diagnosis itself wasn't bad, but the repercussions, if you will, was the thing I was probably ashamed of. You know, some behavior issues or my grades or interacting with certain people were the things that were considered bad.
The environment, yeah.
Yeah.
The environment, lack of comprehension and understanding of what you were trying to do or you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
spot on.
But it's interesting to hear, like, it sounds to me like you are good at, like, saying to yourself, like, okay, I need a break now. How do you know?
You're saying well, nowadays it's a lot easier. I've lived with this for a while now, so I've gotten some tricks up my sleeve. I've gotten a lot more. I can advocate for myself a lot better now, and sometimes you just know. Like, I'm just gonna take a break. Just let someone know. Go refill my water bottle. Just go moving. I've learned a lot. My 4 years about exercise, and sometimes I'll just like stretch. Stretching is really good too. So if you need a break, just touch your toes. I've just gotten to know. But as a kid, not as much. This goes back to the teacher at one point way back half an hour ago, whenever it was. Some teachers are able to tell, hey man, go for a walk. Go for a walk. And then some teachers, whatever it may be, they either don't care or don't know. Maybe some of the older generational teachers just simply aren't up to date because they've been teaching since the 90s and things are a lot different now.
Yeah.
So a student that may need a walk, it might be on their IEP plan. A teacher might just say, oh, no, they're fine. I've dealt with this before. They're fine. And just may not give them that walk. That 1 5-minute walk can go the distance.
It almost makes me think about, do you know how long a human being can pay attention in one go?
No.
Less than 10 minutes. Around 10 minutes.
Less than, yeah.
And then more likely to kind of lose track of time. You know? And that's one is I always saying, like, okay, 10 minutes, that's your optimal. Then you need to have a little break. And then, you know, even if you sit in school and like, okay, let's zone out for a few minutes, just to kind of like, and then consciously manage to put yourself back, of course. But even as a teacher, also kind of like setting the hours or the whole hour of teaching into like 10 minutes intervals of like.
No, that's a great point. We were taught that teachers are. We're now being taught that in college. If you go to school for education, you get taught that you cannot do something for 45 minutes straight.
Yes.
You need 4 different things. It's read this, then write that, and then we're going to stand up, play a 5-minute game, go back down. And like, you're taught to keep them engaged and moving. If you have one thing and they're just doing this one thing, you're not going to get much out of it.
Nope.
Like, you are completely right. 10 minutes. I remember sitting in a class, it would say, to help English learners, people learning English. And they give us these activities of how it's, you want to bounce around. So it's like a quick game here into a reading, and then you discuss your person to your right, and then you answer the question on your own. You have 5 minutes, and then a group discussion. So you went from this in 5-minute intervals, always doing something, always to the next thing. And that's, I believe, one of the ways, again, there's a lot to teaching.
Always.
You should teach a class. Even in physical education, it's, you have a game, you're 10 minutes in and everyone's bored.
Yeah.
You look at it, everyone's bored. And you're like, okay, it's time to change it up.
But that is also you looking at them, acknowledging that, which is, unfortunately, as you have said earlier, also, like, not all teachers see that.
Mm-hmm.
So, observation.
Yeah. It's huge. Teaching is super important. It's not just the learning difference itself. It's what's on the other end of it, and that's the teacher. And there's more to it. You have the administrators, and there's just so much to it.
Do you feel, though,
very complicated
as a teacher, that do you feel like you are getting challenged to the point where you learn more?
Learn more for what specifically?
Like in as a teacher in general, do you feel like the challenges that the classroom gives you inspires you to want to learn more?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every teacher who's been teaching for a while, what they tell you, it's you're gonna suck. You're always gonna be bad. It's never gonna be good, and you're just always gonna learn more and more and more until maybe right before retirement you'll have a good idea of what you're doing, and that's what they all say.
It's kind of like life, though, isn't it?
And, yeah, I guess you don't know what you're doing, and once you think you know what you're doing, you don't. You really don't. There's always more. And yeah, teaching a lesson, because I did a lot of student teaching. I've taught over 100 lessons already. Back for my college program. And you would teach a lesson, and certain things would just be like, this one kid isn't listening. What do I do? Is it ADHD, or are they something going on at home? Is it they had a bad day? Why aren't they listening? Or are they trying to cause trouble? Right? I don't know. There could be so many reasons. And what do you do next time? Right? Can you maybe help them out? Maybe have them sit next to you instead. Maybe they want the attention. Some students like attention. They need that. They don't get attention at home. There's just so many different things, and it just makes you think. There's never an answer. You just think and try, think and try, think and try. It's trial and error.
Which is ironic, right? Because the system speaks as if it's just one approach, but there is never one approach. No, it's impossible. So what you're describing here is that you are tapping into that individual's world and really like allow that flower to bloom. But in doing so, you're also watering your own plant to grow, so you can help even more plants to grow. So it's how it should be. And I'm glad that you are saying like that is, from your experience, what the majority of your colleagues are doing as well.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah. Teaching is it's like that. It's a huge learning thing. Luckily I chose physical education because that was my hobby. Like you said, you love what you do. When I was in school, that was my favorite thing. Playing a game, interacting with people, learning physical skills. Now I'm able to, if I want to exercise, I can play so many different sports, not at a high level, of course. I'm not the best at everything, but now I can play pickleball because I learned it. That's a way to exercise and move my body. It's a hobby. Having an exercise hobby, it's so important. And I've learned so many things through physical education that allows me to be physically not necessarily fit, but be able to move my body in different ways.
Well, that's interesting. Not necessarily fit. Like, what are we then thinking about? Like, have you seen the new Wolverine and Deadpool movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we then thinking about Wolverine's physical appearance, or are we thinking about like I can move from A to B and I feel good about my body? You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff to it, man. There's again, I'm not a doctor, but there's science behind it of what being fit and what being fit isn't. Wolverine, that's just almost unrealistic.
It's unrealistic, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's a
I
good
think being able to
mental image that many people kind of, this is what it is to have a peak male figure, right?
Yeah. And that could be bad or good. A lot of people say it's bad because it makes people feel bad about themselves when they don't look like that. But it could be good. Imagine how many people see that and be like, that's what I want to do. I want to look like Wolverine. So for the next 10 years of their life, they eat well and they exercise every day.
Yeah.
So it depends how you look at it. It could be good or bad.
Which is the case with everything again, right?
Yeah.
What is your approach? Exactly. Are you coming in with a lack mindset? Then of course it's going to be difficult. And then goes back to school as well. If you see school as this bad place that always brings you down, of course you do not want to go there.
Exactly.
So, but then you need to communicate it, and I think this is a good wrap up for the video, really, because or the audio, depending if you're listening or if you are watching us. But to kind of end this, do you have anything like where can we find more of you, Luigi?
More of me?
Yeah.
I'm not really online. There's not many videos of me, but I do live in Fairfield, Connecticut. I work with Superpower Mentors. I'm looking to be a physical education teacher in Fairfield County, Connecticut. And this is where I hope to be around and help the community and work with kids. For the sake of online, I keep to myself. I'm not on a lot of videos. It's actually one of my first. Yeah. I try to stay away from that stuff. Online world. I don't like having two identities.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. If you meet me in person, that's probably the person you want to know. And I try to keep everything online away because it's hard to balance both. But,
yeah, because people will always judge you regardless from like this one clip, for example.
Exactly.
They think they know you, but they don't.
Exactly.
Well said. So yeah, if you want to have Luigi as a mentor, you can contact us on superpowermentors.com. Or me or anyone else. Check it out. We are here to help you, your kid, etc. to find their, not necessarily superpower, but like find their strengths to be themselves. That's what we're working on here. To really
the confidence.
Yeah. The confidence, so you can go to school, right? So you can do those things that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to. So with that, thank you so much for listening and watching, and hope to see you guys again. And thank you so much for coming, Luigi.
No problem. It's my pleasure. I was excited to do this. Once I cleared my schedule, found a good time, and I was ready to talk about it. It's something I love to talk about. It's been my whole life and still is my life. Yep. Yeah,
it's always it's a good thing to talk about it in this setting also, you know, like it's I don't know about you, but it's rare that you can kind of allow yourself to speak about this in such detail.
Yeah. It's something people don't like to talk about. And that's the best things to talk about.
And with that, talk about it more, communicate with those around you. That's the key here. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.